Hello guys, Real Diverse here. We are back with another video. This video we will be looking at some comments pertaining to the protests, to Black Lives Matter, and just recent events going on in America. There is a comment and that I will elaborate on and explain. But I guess these are kind of negative comments that they got a lot of attention because they got a lot of likes on them, and I just assumed that since they got so many likes, a lot of people related to them. So I'm just here to kind of break down some of these, questions, and you'll see the type of questions in a second. And I am a Black African man in America, so I'm basically speaking on some of these movements and things like that. So that is what's gonna happen here, and we're gonna jump right into it. Okay, some of these comments may be trolling, but at the same time, they can still be taken seriously. So let's still break them down regardless. So first one says cops have been arrested. Justice is served. Go home and stop insulating violence. So first and foremost, um, the justice has been served. Well, not fully yet, right? So the we have not got a verdict or anything like that on the situations with the George Floyd officers. We have not gotten any word from that situation in a minute. We don't know the verdicts. We know that all four actually officers have been arrested. We know that, and they are gonna get charged with some type of charge, but we don't still know the verdict, and we don't know if justice has been served because we don't know if they will get the acceptable punishment yet. So, but first, it's not just about people. So it says go home. It's not just about those officers, right? Those were officers. In that situation, that whole George Floyd situation was it was like the last straw in a sense for a lot of people. So once it happened, it kind of people are tired of seeing it. It's not the first time, and they want it to be kind of the last time. So it's not just that specific case people are fighting for. Like, oh wow, well those officers got arrested. We're just go home now. Well, we don't want to see that again. We want reform in the department, and people are yet to they want a more change than just what has been happening, and they want more than just those officers. They want they're looking for more, right? So that is what's pretty much going on, and it's not just about that situation. That situation led to a chain effect of people just kind of really stepping up and becoming active, right? So it says stop insulating violence, right? So um insinuating violence. I don't know why it was so hard to say that word, but basically saying stop rioting and protesting, looting. Well, not just rioting and looting, right? So those things aren't related to what a lot of people are doing. So you got to always separate those rioters from protesters and those rioters from looters, right? So some people are just breaking stuff and burning stuff, and then you got people that are looting stuff, and then you have people that are protesting peacefully, and so they're all separate. It can't relate them. You got to know the difference, right? And it's not in all three of those categories, people they're all racist. So it's not just one race group or anything. It's everyone that has been involved in all three of those categories. So you guys to keep them separated. Yes, all three are going on, but they're not all three the same. Now the second comment I won't even read, and I won't really get into it too much, but it does say something, and it's a complete troll comment, what it is, but it does say something about white. There's no such thing as white privilege. Now that right there, just to speak on that subject for a quick minute, white privilege is a thing. It does not mean just because you're white that every month the government sends you a check for $1,000 just because your skin color is white, but it means that having white skin color makes you less of a threat in America and makes you seen differently, right? So it just it doesn't necessarily mean that you get a benefit for being white, but basically being white doesn't affect you in your overall life in America. Basically, that's what that means. I can get into a little bit more, but I don't want to stop too much on because we got a little bit more comments. And then this third comment says Bleach Report or CNN, right? So people, yes, this, and I think this was under a Bleach Report comment, but basically, yes, use your platform, whatever platform you have, you should get it out. It doesn't matter if you're a sports page or if you're a art page or whatever. Use your platform to spread the message, and it doesn't matter if it's not your common content. And like exactly what I'm doing on my channel right now, this is not standard stuff that I do. Right, this is way out of my normal field, but we're covering it anyway to because we have a platform, and it is basically our job to spread knowledge. And the fourth comment, I still don't understand the goal of this movement. What do these people even, I think, want? It got cut off, but yeah, I think that's what it says. And I explained that a little bit earlier. It's not just about the police officers. It's much more, and people want reform for police brutality. Black Lives Matter movement is going on. People want more. It's basically like a second civil rights movement. So it's not just the one incident has sparked, a chain effect for a lot more that's going on. Protests are going on. People are, demanding, equality basically right now. So now this next comment, the very first one says 94% of black victims are killed by other African Americans. That should be, he should have said this. He should have said this should be a priority. That should be a priority. But first, and I'm gonna use this. This is pretty much the main one I'm gonna talk about for this one. But um, there is, in terms of, people like to say the word black on black crime. That is a false narrative. There is really no such thing as, have you ever, and to put this in proper perspective, have you ever heard Asian on Asian crime, or Hispanic on Hispanic crime, or Saudi Arabia on Arabia crime? Like it doesn't even sound right once you really get down to it. It's basically I guess a thing people have came up with to just kind of divert the situation. But obviously, if you are the same ethnicity and you commit a crime, it's just a crime, right? What we're really talking about when we talk about police, like especially a white police officer killing a black police officer, I mean not a black police officer, but white officer killing a black person, we are more so looking at the potential of it being a racial incident, right? We're not necessarily saying that anytime a white person kills a black person, that it should immediately be anything else, but it's a potential that it was a racial incident. And normally what happens in those situations is they won't get the same punishment, whether it be the situations be vice versa, right? So if a black person kills a white person, sometimes the punishment is a little bit harsher, right? So that's another thing people are wanting, is they want equal punishment, right? So it's a lot of times where it just seems like the white person gets the lesser punishment and the black person gets the harsher punishment. So that is another thing they are mentioning there. But once again, the black on black, thing, it's just crime, right? It's gonna happen, but it's not. We know for a fact it's not racially insinuated, right? It's just a crime, and that's straight up what is crime or violence, right? So you can't really say black on black because they're the same ethnicity. So it's just a normal criminal or violent case, right? So it's not the same as when you have two ethnicities. That's the difference, right? So, but yes, things are being done too in those communities that do have a lot of violence and crime. Things are being done about that, right? It's just a little bit more subtle, because they are obviously, if a black person kills another black person, they probably would get the same crime as if it was, the situation was vice versa, right? That's not really what they're fighting for. They're fighting for equality in terms of punishment, right? Justice, right? So, the next one I think says, "Wow, I really need to hear another NBA player telling me what's wrong with America." Yes, you do, because we need all people sharing their platforms. Just because you've heard it 1,000 times doesn't mean someone else has, right? Doesn't Not everyone follows like LeBron James, right? So if LeBron says it, hopefully all his followers see it. But if he does but that's not all of America, right? So another athlete may share their opinion, and yes, hopefully they have different fans than another athlete, and it's so on, so on, so the message gets spread more, right? So yes, you do need almost every body speaking on it, and that's the best way to kind of spread awareness about the situation, which is police brutality and inequality in America, right? So um Yeah, and I'm gonna ignore the last one. And the last one says Blue Lives Matter. Yes, police are at the end of the day normal, regular people that have go home, have regular lives when they're not on the clock. So yes, their life matters. But the system police work in is the problem, right? They work in a system that really makes even good officers, well, not, you can't, there's no, and that's another thing we're going to mention, good, there's no such thing as good police people, right? Because the whole system is kind of flawed, so you can't really say there are good officers. There are good people working as police officers, but there's no good officer because their system they are in is flawed and is corrupt, right? So, well, we're gonna say corrupt. We just it's just flawed, right? So yes, there are good people with good intentions that work as police officers, but there's no such thing as a good officer, a good cop, right? But yeah, yes, all lives matter in that aspect. Because they are at the end of the day normal people that go home, live normal lives just like the rest of us. Oh, and I guess I'll talk about the third one for a second. He says, "Wow, what a punishment! Being paid millions of dollars." You have to remember, before these athletes became millionaires, they were normal black people, and they faced the same, thing normal other black people face every day. Okay, so here we have another one. If you heard about the Drew Brees incident, Drew Brees made a comment saying he can't respect people that disrespect the flags. Now, hopefully you've seen it already. I won't elaborate too much on it, but let's get into these comments. It says so Brees can't have an opinion, but everyone else can, right? So it wasn't the fact Drew Brees can't have an opinion. It just was knowing the person Drew Brees is. It seemed very for him, right? It seemed very insensitive, and the timing was really inappropriate. But it was before he said it. He probably should have checked with a lot of people because he said it in. I think he didn't mean any like thing harmful by it, but I think he just the way he put it, the way he said it was just not right. That's why he got attacked so much. It was just it was basically just bad timing in a sense. But yes, you can have an opinion, but also bringing that back up, um, it's a double standard, right? So when Colin Kaepernick kneeled on the field, people weren't saying he can't have an opinion. People were saying he shouldn't do that, right? And that's kind of a double standard here when you fully look at that situation. He even though he's not he did a tweet and Cap did physical action, which is kneeling during the anthem. It's still at the end of the day, them doing using their freedom of speech. So that they're it's basically the same thing, but obviously one gets attacked for it and one gets defended. They both got attacked, but one gets defended saying that he can't have an opinion, but no one ever said that for Colin Kaepernick when he was doing his thing. Um, I Oh, and to elaborate a little bit more about opinion, right? So just because you have an opinion doesn't always mean it's right, right? So you may think murder is, good, right? Just because you have an opinion doesn't mean it's right, right? You can still argue against someone's opinion, but yes, he can have an opinion, but it can still be potentially wrong, right? So not necessarily your opinion is always right, and yes, you can have your own opinion, but yeah, sometimes you can have criticism on it. So it's not fair to just use that as a defense. His opinion, why are you attacking him? He did nothing wrong. Well, yeah, he didn't do nothing. He used his freedom of speech, but at the same time, it was used poorly in a sense of timing and just almost a lack of understanding in that situation, right? So, and let's see this past one. When you stand for a national anthem, you pay respect to the soldier who gave you freedom in this country. When you kneel, you are disrespecting those soldiers who risked their lives to allow you to protest. First and foremost, the kneeling thing, Colin Kaepernick first started off by sitting on the bench during anthem. He was given the idea by and I'm only using his ethnicity as just to clarify. I think a lot of people think this vet was a different race, but he was a white male veteran that came in. They met, and he was like, this is how you really send a message, because he said people associate kneeling with like praying and mourning and all of that stuff. So he said, you know what, you kneel during the anthem. A white male veteran told him that do that, and he took his advice and did it. So it wasn't It came from a veteran himself that told him to do that, because that veteran said that was the most respectable way he saw of doing it. He followed those instructions, and he still, and this is something the media never really seems to cover or want to show. But you have to educate yourself on some of these situations and know that that really start, and that once people find that out, they immediately just like kind of flush up like, oh well, wow, I didn't even know. But yeah, that right there, should know, if that helps any way at all. A veteran said that he felt that that was the most respectable way to get his point across, was he should kneel. So keep that in mind when you think about that, about disrespecting veterans. And obviously, and here's my little own little opinion on that is, you can say you can say he's going against maybe the, you know, I guess, let's say military, right? But I'm sure the people that died for this country didn't necessarily, when if they knew what they were dying for, which was a country that didn't stand up to its morals, I don't think they would have died for it. They died for a country that what they thought they believed in was a country that said it was free for all man, equality, and all of that good stuff. So if it's not living up to its standard, then what did they truly die for, right? If you really think about it like that. Okay, so looking at this last one, it says stop using the riots as an excuse to attack Black Lives Matter movement. That is very true. The riots, like I said, and right now it's really hard to separate the two, the protests and riots, because there's the protests in the Black Lives Matter movement and the riots and the looting. It's all kind of basically happening at the same time, so they kind of all get mixed in together, but they're all completely different. The rioters are, some of them aren't even related. Some of them aren't. I heard, when they first started happening, like 50% of the people that got arrested weren't even from that state. They were like out of state, just came into the state to just start trouble. So just know that. And like I said, once again, it wasn't one specific race. It was multiple races, multiple people. So you can't point fingers at anybody in those situation. And then let's go into the second one. Burning down apartment complex, looting stores, and breaking isn't protesting. Like I said, once again, 10 times already, those aren't the same thing. So please don't confuse protest, looting, and rioting together. Those are two different things, two different groups. Some people are peacefully going to protest in capital and cities, and some people are just coming out at night to just break stuff for, some of it may be towards these, their feelings for the situation that happened with George Floyd, and everything that's going on in America right now. But you have to still also keep those separated from the actual people that are trying to make change in peaceful protests. And then once again, you have looters who are maybe taking advantage of the situations. I really don't see that those people being related at all to the incident happened. They're just, I think, feel like those are just people that are trying to take advantage of the situation. So please keep all of these separate. These are not the same. These are all different people, different groups. And yes, people are actually trying to make positive changes, and you cannot use the riots or looting to discredit that, right? So there are black people that kill each other every day. Like I explained that already. Yes, it's gonna happen. It's just crime. It's just how humans are. We, make mistakes. Are emotional. So yes, deaths end up happening. Killings, murders happen. Yes. But when you are the same race, we know for a fact it's not a race crime, at least, right? So we know it's just a crime. So it's, once again, earlier, people are protesting, because there was a black man that died in the hands of police once again, right? So that's, and really what, they wanted, one, justice for that situation, but they're also calling for justice for even past situations, and just officers in general that have police brutality records and things like that. So they really want to clean that up. And not only just that, but there are also people fighting for equality, for African Americans in America. And where are the riots because of that? Yeah, and people, and once again, he's saying, where are the riots because of the black on black crime? Obviously, you don't. I mean, like I explained already, it's not the fact of the action or crime; it's the fact of the. Okay, that was pretty much all the comments so far out. If I come across some more, I'll make another video. But yeah, I just want to clear up some things. Um, today. Hopefully, this opens some eyes to some people. If you learned something new, if you came, and hopefully you maybe at least enjoyed it. Maybe hopefully. So like I said, leave a thumbs up, share this video. Most importantly, I won't even ask you to subscribe because the reason I'm even doing this video is just because I have a platform and I want to use it for a positive message. Other than that, it doesn't matter to me. But like I said, please share the video. That's what all I do, ask so more people can see it, and hopefully I can spread some more awareness to what's going on. And if you see comments, send them my way and drop a comment as well. Red versus